and they wanted revenge, or wrath in this case. So they gave them a little bit of a spoonful of something or other. Now, every time they tried to open a gate and allow one of these crazy people in, they didn't understand, the crazy AI-generated beings that they were trying to bring here didn't understand why they couldn't open the door. Because after all, they had the permission of some humans to do this. Why didn't it work? Because there's a whole gatekeeper situation. And that gatekeeper situation is not just me. Yes, I'm one of the gatekeepers, but Source is the other one. And that goes against the ownership of this planet right now. Because the planet belongs to Source. It doesn't belong to anyone else anymore. And you're never going to override that force. Therefore, they could never break in through the doors, so to speak, on the sides of the corridor. So, okay. Now we've established how black magic works or used to work. We've established what the corridors were doing. We've established what the SSP was doing this weekend. And right up until pretty much the time of this recording, they were still trying. God bless them. And all they try to do is cash credits. Like they see credits in a system and they think that means money. No, it doesn't mean money. It means something completely different to a celestial, but to you cowboy people, no. And no offense if you are a cowboy and you're listening to this, you're not who I'm talking about. Now we're going to talk about you. And this is important for you to understand. Okay. You are a being that exists on 9 different planes. And technically, because we're humans on Earth, you exist on 9 planes in 9 densities, all at the same time. And unfortunately, you've also existed on another 9 planes and 9 densities down. So you, as a person, I know you love my little people drawing. I know you do. Okay, here you are. This is you. Okay, so you would kind of look like, because energy kind of flows in a torus, and we've talked about the energy flow of humans, in the way that it works. But you, as a person, okay, so let's just say this is your front, and this is your back. And right here, you're kind of at ground zero, meaning you are the point of creation is where you actually are. And as you start going out this way, you are going into the upper astral, and you're going through 9 densities, and you are going through 9 times 9 planes. You go this way, you are going down. You're going lower astral. Now, this comes from a point of magic. Obviously, humans, your aura, so to speak, or what is around you in this physical plane is all around you. So technically, it would look more like a bunch of circles emanating out from your person, so to speak. Now, when your physical person was being created, you first existed in the 9th density, your soul, in the 9th plane, your soul. And eventually you became a physical being. So as you manifested yourself into this physical world, the first spark of all creation to enter into the physical world is called your assemblage point. That is the point at which your first cell was formed and then split into two. Now, you as a person may have more than one assemblage point, depending on how many active strands of DNA you have, GNA and RNA in your person. Now, they've tried to limit the amount of assemblage points in human beings, but for the most part, your assemblage point, let's just say each assemblage point that you would have in your person, those cells can be anywhere and they're kind of movable. It doesn't mean that if your assemblage point was somewhere and your first two cells ended up landing somewhere in your shoulder, that they're going to stay in your shoulder your whole life, or in your spinal column. They'll always be in your L2 vertebrae. That's not exactly true. So assemblage points are movable, for lack of a better term. And do they move rapidly? Well, they move a lot slower, and it depends on your lifestyle, that kind of thing. But that's your assemblage point. Now, if you look up assemblage points, they're going to tell you that your assemblage point is right about where your heart is. Now, is that true for a lot of people? I would say, it is true for a lot of people. It would extend, basically, if you were to look at your chest, and this is your person, here's your arms, and this is your torso here. It would extend about that far, okay? It would go for, I would say, the majority of the average adult human's chest. So that's why a lot of times when you're feeling an attack, and it could be on multiple different levels, you might feel a little, if you're having an anxiety, so if it's an emotional attack or a mental attack, you might feel a tightness in your chest. It almost mimics a heart attack sometimes. Well, chances are there's something going on with your assemblage point. So your assemblage point can be affected anywhere over here or over here, which is why these corridors were so, I was like, oh no, the SSP has got a corridor. Oh, great. Okay, so most of the attacks that happened on people over the course of the last few days would have been from the back. You would have started feeling it for a lot of people from the back. So you would have had random back pains. It would have started out maybe as, aching around your shoulder blades. When you see where your assemblage point is, you would kind of say, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Or it could have affected things in that region. Your heart, your lungs, you could have gotten a cold. You could have felt like you couldn't breathe, maybe a little bit. It could have affected your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, because it can actually hit any plane of existence wherever your assemblage points happen to be. So if you felt random pains in random locations, your assemblage point was probably in that region. I mean, I've heard people say things like, believe it or not, I got someone that said, oh, I feel like my prostate's about to explode. This was a man that called me and told me about this. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, let's look, and then you can kind of see where the attacks are coming in from different places based on them trying to power a dumb corridor they thought was going to generate them money. No. But protecting your assemblage point, though, once you now understand your assemblage points, you can kind of focus in on your body and you can see where your greatest sparks are. A lot of times those assemblage points are your regeneration points too. So you can connect those assemblage points, which they are being reconnected to source at this moment. Therefore, we'll have regeneration. This is what we mean by regenerating DNA and things going away, as far as disease or illness. But the other thing you need to understand about assemblage points is, remember, the spark of all creation not only came from source as it relates to the creation and most all of the planes of existence, because it was a heartbeat. Do you remember me talking about the heartbeat? Dark light, dark light, dark light, as things separated. So your assemblage point was actually your connection to not only source or the light, it was also the connection to the dark side and a regulator we call neutral. So if the dark consciousness or the black magicians or anyone using a corridor wants to attach itself to you, it would attach itself to you firstly from the assemblage point and then on out to wherever and whatever they wanted to create. That was its connection to your person. So depending on the type of creation, quote unquote, or destruction us humans are generating, in what type of credits the corridor had, would depend on what happened to you. You could almost call this a different type of destiny. Would you be regenerating? Would you be happy? Would you have emotional, mental, physical distress? A lot of this was dependent on all of your fellow humans in what we call the human network, or multiple networks. Now, because we don't really have celestials running these networks anymore, like we used to, Lucifer had his own network, corridors, celestial realms, Targethians, and lots of other people had access to various celestial realms and corridors, because they're almost considered a realm unto themselves that could affect reality in the past. That would affect all of humanity, and in turn, all of humanity unknowingly would actually affect all of the densities up and all of the densities down. It's very interesting. But the events that have been taking place over the last few weeks, and most importantly, since, for, I would say, part of last week and into this weekend, as they kept trying to put that pedal to the floor and generate credits for themselves. Yeah, there were a lot of you out there that were feeling some very interesting feelings. It could create dark consciousness in your peripheral. It could try to be, I've gotten reports of random sciatica, pains in the back, pains in the shoulder blades, pains in the head, headaches from people who never get headaches, ever. And these things were all generated by them and them trying to power a machine that they know nothing about. And again, and I said this to somebody this morning because it's the best way I could explain it with these dumb cowboys or Duck Dynasty people. They see something and it may have some kind of a motor in it. Say it's a refrigerator, maybe it's an ice maker in it, and it has a little motor in there that, drops the ice into the bucket and then eventually out the door. It does have some power to it, yep, definitely has some power to it. It may be, even silver in color, could be white in color, whatever color your icebox is, your refrigerator. And so it has some qualities that are similar to what you would say is a rocket ship that may go to Mars. There's a motor in there, it's got some doors, so does the rocket ship, that kind of thing. But it's never going to take you to Mars. You can open the door and shut the door and try to get through all the way through the doors and maybe go up the shelves and all the things that they were trying to do with this corridor. But it definitely was still not going to go to Mars. And what they were looking to do is to take this thing and have it create all kinds of weird and wonderful universal dominance. We're not just talking about world dominance here now. They want to go the distance and go control all the universe and source and everyone. Haha, because they're special. Yeah. See, this is the problem with people that are in those special family programs, that they go through this training and, and they're told every day of their life they're special, they're unlike anyone else and they can do amazing things and, all of this stuff. And wow, you did such a good job, that kind of thing. And they're told this every day of their life until they get to the point where they really do feel they're special because maybe they had more knowledge than most people had. Maybe they ran in circles that most people don't get to run in. Maybe they have pictures with presidents and other things that most people don't have. But in reality, in the world, in the universe, you're just like the rest of us. Actually, matter of fact, you're less than the rest of us because we know how to reach all these dimensions all by ourselves. We don't need a corridor. We don't need somebody else's keys. We can figure it out all on our own, as long as you people aren't interfering with us. Now, that is the main goal in restoration of Earth, is not only restoration of humans, but restoration of Earth's ability to do the same. To have that direct connection to Source, to have that direct connection with you, and then you can co-create not only with Earth, but also, or Gaia, as we say, all the way with Source, and eventually we can have other people come here and do the same. Folks can come and go again, and it won't be a hostile environment or be stinky. It'd be kind of like, for them in the upper astral to come here, it's like, us spending the day in a garbage dump or a sewage treatment plant or something. It's very smelly. It's kind of dirty. You want to go home and take a shower. Well, they'd rather just not come. And I'm sure a lot of you would rather not spend the day in a sewage treatment plant either, or swimming in sewage. I'm sure you would not. So it's the same thing for them. But life has to move on from what these people are doing. They never had all the keys and access to these corridors either, because there's always a source involved here. They might have been able to take a little bit from us over the weekend. They might have been able to cause us a little bit of pain and harm, but they still were never going to achieve their objective because they're never going to understand the quantum physics of creation in this universe. They maybe think they understand gematria. If they did, then they wouldn't be doing what they did this weekend. They would know that they were going in the wrong direction. But nonetheless, there is nothing I can say on this network, on a public network, or on the right people's phones, or even to them directly, to explain to them that this is not how it works. Even when I explain it to them, they try to say, well, okay, well, we're going to take all this information that she gave to us, unbeknownst to her. Of course I know I'm giving you the information. I'm also educating all of you on how you personally work and how to become a more interdimensional being, so to speak. Because when these people do start to come here, you won't be surprised and you'll know how to do it yourself. And you can go visit them too. And it will be different. The universe does not work the way we've been told all these years. We've been lied to. And they too have been lied to, because quite frankly, nobody wanted their cowboy butts in their worlds, lower astral or otherwise. Nobody wanted them. I mean, do you ever wonder why? Did these people ever wonder why? If they were so special, why were they doing all the jobs they were doing? Why did they never get beyond a certain level? Why were they still told things are classified? Why were they not let into certain places? Why couldn't they use some of these wormholes? Maybe they got access to some jump rooms, but make no mistake, the jump room controller told you where you were going to go and when you were going to go and when it would work and when it wouldn't work. And they still can't grasp the concept. It has been over a decade and a half, and they still haven't gotten any further than they were a decade and a half ago. They even created lockdowns and pandemics and did all the things in their little handbook that was given to them by someone else. Your little Law of War book that they gave them, well, the Law of War book was still given to them by someone else, so everybody would know where you are and where you're going to go. It's like those little pieces of paper they gave you and told you where all your classes were going to be in college. You know, you knew exactly what building you were going to be in at what time because they wrote it for you. You know, you were accepted into those classes. It all goes into a database. And if you walk into the office and say, hey, I'm looking for John Doe, they can say, oh, John Doe is in building B right now. Of course, they all knew that about them, those people too. I don't know who they think they're outsmarting, and I'm not even sure what war they're fighting anymore because they have gotten absolutely nowhere. 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 You know, maybe they caused a little bit of distress or whatever, but they certainly didn't destroy the planet, and we certainly didn't have an alien race in here. They don't understand quantum physics. I know they think they do because they know how to use funky technology or try to use funky technology, but I'm also not over here, you know, on our side of things. I'm not trying to make my refrigerator take me to Mars either. And that's what they're trying to do, essentially. You know, I know things seem tough. And I know a lot of people have a lot of personal issues, especially when they're affecting people in this way, because it makes people that are, you know, normally angry start to do things against other humans. You know, maybe people even that are normally nicer people, they start to do things against other humans because that is what this is designed to do. Because if they have an intention of using it to destroy something, you need to create that destructive energy, emotional, mental, physical, astral. It doesn't matter which plane they created on in the human, it's still destructive energy and it's still created in a certain plane of existence within your person, which then gives them access to destroy in that plane, if that makes any sense to you. So do they understand any of this? I don't know, probably not. But for the, you know, it's fine. I was going to say, well, you know, maybe by putting this out there, then maybe they'll understand something. Maybe they'll even, don't you have any quantum scientist or physicist or anybody that actually is not in the science system, meaning, you know, they're part of a program where they had more access to information? Oh, that's right. I forgot. They lied to you in your science too. Even those people that we see on the internet that worked in, you know, Los Alamos laboratories and deep underground military bases and all those scientists there, they didn't have the full information either. And the only reason why I do is because, in part, and only when I need it, trust me, it's the wisdom. It's that connection to source. But I can't use that to destroy things. Well, I can use it to defend myself or the life of an innocent, like I did this weekend, you know, or today even. You know, I know they felt it was very gruesome as to what happened to those people in Sierra Leone, and it was. But I don't think you understood the amount of pain you were causing all of humanity, or nor did you really care, because, of course, according to them, you know, we all worked for them. They're entitled to all of our energy now. I don't know why they think that. You know, it's kind of like those people that keep showing up for work long after the company closed and they just sit on the steps and eat their lunch. I'm not sure, you know, they're obviously not doing anything, you know, except for creating a little bit of disturbance by constantly knocking on the door when the company is moved out. You know, that's pretty much where they're at. So That's been the last several days. It's not been fun, it's not been easy, and it's not been pleasant. And I know, I mean, I definitely see your messages. I know there's a lot of frustrated people out there, but no one is more frustrated than me. I trust me when I tell you that. When I have an intention of doing something else this weekend, you know, I have a lot of other things I'd like to do with my life than spend 18 hours every day of my life doing this. You know, maybe it wasn't as bad as it is this weekend. You know, I barely have time for anything. So I understand all of you are frustrated and you'd like to have more money, and I would like to have more money too. And I would like to do a lot of things, and I'd like to spend my entire day creating instead of going, really? This is what's happening? Okay, this is what we're doing today. Forget the fact that you wanted to take the dog for a walk. Forget the fact that you wanted to do anything else. You know, I understand. Trust me, I understand. You know, we all have issues and we all have things we'd like to do. You know, especially the closer we get to holidays. But if nothing else, I'm definitely learning a lot, you know, from Source and from other things. And hopefully one day either all these people will be dead or maybe they'll figure out their science is wrong. I don't know. Either way, we are preparing on our side to move forward without them. We might still have these hiccups and little bits of pain here and there, and I can't do anything to stop them, short of protect our lives or the life of an innocent. But somehow there's always more people to go to more locations, no matter how many of them die. So hopefully, one can hope that one day that'll be a faint memory and we can all move on with our lives, including me. So that is pretty much the world situation report for the 4th of December. Hopefully I'll see all of you again on Friday, and maybe we'll even have some better news. If nothing else, you've learned a little bit about your assemblage points, how black magic works, what corridors do, and that the space program is still crazy. So on that note, have a wonderful day or evening, depending on when you're watching this, and I'll see you on Friday.